All right, hello everybody. Sorry for being so late. I was in the gym. I like using the gym. I have my nice Broadwater backdrop. Makes me feel like it's more of a real news conference kind of deal in there. But I think our internet in there is just too weak. So moved to my office, restarted everything, and finally got things up and running. So I apologize. Hopefully you're joining me live. If not, you're watching this recording, which is fine too. You'll still get all the same information. You just won't be able to ask live questions. So, 10 days away before school starts. Pretty excited to see all the kids, all the families. Of course, everything's going to be quite a bit different this year, but that's okay. We're gonna make the best out of what we have been given, and we're still going to make sure we're having fun at school, and we're still going to make sure that we're learning at school. We're just going to be taking more time to do things like wash our hands and keep physically distanced from each other, and we'll be wearing masks. So, as you know, our superintendent a few weeks ago did declare that we would be wearing masks in the buildings, and then the governor the other day also made a mandate that masks would be worn in schools. So masks are definitely going to be required. So please make sure that you're aware of that. And if your kiddo doesn't have a mask, or you're in a tough spot right now and can't get them one, don't worry about that. We'll make sure that everybody has a mask on the first day of school. So don't want you to be worried about that. What I want to do today is talk a little bit about a document that I sent out on social media yesterday, and emailed it out this morning to all the parent emails that we have. Now, if you have not been getting my emails, I've sent quite a few over the last couple weeks. Please go into PowerSchool and check your contact information. That means we either have the wrong email for you, or I am getting quite a few emails bounced back saying that the email address inbox is full. So you may need to empty out your inbox or change to an email that works. So please just check your email, and if you're not getting anything from me, check your spam. If there's nothing there, then either get on PowerSchool or communicate with us so we can make sure we have the right emails for you. Okay. Just trying to do some multitasking here to get a different name for this live stream, because it's still talking about the remote announcement stuff. So not a YouTube professional here, but I am learning more and more each week I do this. So hopefully they'll get better as the year goes on. I do plan on continuing this throughout the school year, Friday mornings at 10 o'clock. So just bear with me there. All right, if you are live, and I see it looks like we got 3 people live, so thank you so much for joining me this morning. Go ahead, if you have any questions as we go through things, throw them in the chat box there, and I'll try to get to those as best as I can. So first off, we're going to take a look at this document here called A Day in the Life of a Panther. So got some highlight going on there. All right, so hopefully you've had a chance to look at it. If not, it's out on Instagram. It's out on Broadwater Facebook page. It's also sent to you via email. We'll get it uploaded to our website as well as soon as we can. It's just me in the office today. Karen's not here today, so it might not get done today, but we'll get it up there as soon as we can. Also, please remember that the window for enrolling in remote instruction closes today at 5 o'clock. So either get on PowerSchool and fill out that form if you haven't, or email me and let me know that you need to go remote. Also, if you haven't, let us know either by email or phone call or through PowerSchool that you are coming for school. Please let us know that too. We're trying to firm up our numbers to see where we're at, so we can make sure that we have the correct staffing and make any changes that need to be made by next week, so that we can let everybody know who their teacher is. So if you've been in PowerSchool the last couple of days, you have seen that there's a teacher assigned to your kiddo right now. Those are very likely to change as we go through the next few days. There's still some teachers in the buildings that possibly might end up becoming remote teachers. There's, some schools might need additional staff. Some schools might be overstaffed. And so there will be some movement taking place over the next few days. But by next Friday at the very latest, we will definitely have a firm idea of who teachers are in our building for sure, and also which one of those teachers belongs with your kiddos. So just keep tuned, and I will be emailing updates as well as posting them on social media and whatnot, just to keep everybody aware of what's going on. So let's take a look at this document. So a day in the life of a Panther. So our superintendent set the year up with 4 main components or commitments. And so you see those there: safety, mental health, equity, and of course learning. And kind of in that priority too. So safety, number 1, we have to make sure that we have the best protocols in place to mitigate as many risk factors as we can with the COVID-19. Now, of course, I've said this before, and I think we all know this, but there's no way we can provide a risk-free environment, but we are doing everything that we can think of to mitigate as many risks as possible. Mental health. Yeah, we're a little concerned that, some of our kiddos may have had a stressful time during school closure. We're a little concerned that some people have been isolated and maybe on quarantine for some time, and that can definitely impact mental health. Kids have been away from their friends. It's been almost 6 months since we shut down school, so there are some mental health concerns. So that's definitely going to be a focus for us. Here at Broadwater, we use a couple of different approaches. One, we use responsive classroom, and so some big components that you see through that model is morning meeting. So every morning, every class starts out with a morning meeting, and just kind of a good way to build the community and build some friendships within the classroom and get to know everybody. So really important that kiddos are on time so they can participate in that every day. Equity is huge, especially in a school that is diverse like ours. We want to make sure that everybody has the same learning opportunities, whether they're in seats in our school or whether they're learning from home via the remote platform. And then, of course, learning, because that is not our sole purpose, but it is our core purpose of existing as a school, right? We're here to make sure that kids learn. So those were really the 4 things that we really thought about when putting our plans together. Now, of course, teacher and parent convenience was kept in mind, but was not necessarily a priority for some of the protocols. So it is going to be a challenge for some of us just to get used to the new ways of doing things. And we're just going to have to be flexible as Broadwater staff, and we're going to ask parents to be flexible and patient with us. There will definitely be some things that we have traditionally done in the past that we just won't be able to do this year. And so we're asking for you to understand that. You don't have to like it. We're not asking you to like it, but we are asking you to understand and just be flexible and patient with us. All right, so one of the big things to keep everybody safe is going to be the screening protocol. We are really depending and relying on parents to check over their kiddos every morning. Make sure that they don't have a fever, any new symptoms that have developed. If they all of a sudden have a cough, or they're having a tough time breathing, complaining about muscle or body aches, maybe uncharacteristically they just are really fatigued. Any complaint of loss of taste or smell, and then of course vomiting, diarrhea, a new onset of a runny nose, or complaint of a sore throat. Now, we do realize that we are in allergy season, and so some of those coughs and sore throats are because of those chronic allergies. So please help us out just by letting us know that, my kiddo does have allergies. With that, these are some of the symptoms that come every single year. And then if you do have a chance to have, some documentation from your doctor to help us understand that as well, that'll help us out. We are going to be very tight when we open on sending kids home with these symptoms. We have to make sure that we're keeping everybody safe. So please understand that as well. Also, you probably will want to have some kind of system for your family on, if I'm working, who else is going to be on my contact list that will be able to go pick up the kiddo and bring them home and watch over them. If kids have a fever, they will not be able to come back to school for 72 hours. And that's 72 hours after the fever has subsided. And that's also without any fever reducing medications. I know it's always kind of tempting to give your kid a little bit of fever reducing medicine and get that fever down and then send them to school. But just because the fever's gone down does not mean that they're still not ill. And then the other symptoms, like I mentioned before, 24 hours free. Yeah, universal precautions. We talked about mask wearing. That is going to be our biggest friend in keeping everybody safe. So we would like a clean mask on those kiddos every day. And, there's lots of different options out there. There was some recent information that came out that claimed that the gator kind of style masks and the fleece style masks may not be as good as the other cloth style masks. So you just might want to do some looking into that before you make any decisions on the masks. We will physically distance kids as much as we can, but as you know, our classrooms are not built to keep kids 6 feet apart or even 4 feet apart. We will keep them as spread apart as much as we can, though. In some classrooms, we have tables, and we will do our very best to keep those kids spread out as much as we can. Hand hygiene is going to be huge, so we will be washing hands often. Soap and water will be our preferred method, but there will be times where we'll need to use hand sanitizer hand sanitizer also. You've probably heard about the cohort idea. So we're using the cohort idea to keep kids in similar groups and keep them from interacting with other similar groups. That will help us keep transmission down if there is anything that starts to transmit. So for example, each classroom will be considered a phase 1 cohort in our school, and then each grade level will be a phase 2 cohort. So for the most part, we are going to keep these kids within their own class as often as possible. You will see some phase 2 cohorting with the whole entire grade level during recesses when they're outside. But other than that, primarily you'll see phase 1 cohorts. There will be some exceptions to that. So some of our kids that are in interventions or Quest program, sometimes we have to mix, groups of other kids to get to work on like skills. But those are typically in very small groups. So we have a lot better chance of spreading those kids out even further. Mask breaks. Now we anticipate that kids are not used to wearing masks. Adults are not used to wearing masks. So we will be taking frequent mask breaks, preferably, outside if we can. So just if you're worried about, is my kiddo going to get in trouble for, taking their mask off for a second, it's not going to be a disciplinary measure unless it's more of a non-compliance issue than it is they just need to take a break from their mask. So we're going to be somewhat flexible on that. We'll be, reminding kids to keep their masks on and that sort of thing. And we'll do our very best with that. That I know some of you were worried about that, and I just want to relieve some of that anxiety there. Hydration, we're worried about hydration because even for myself, my mask is on. It makes it a lot harder to take a drink, so it's just easier not to take a drink. So we'll be taking some hydration breaks to make sure kids are getting their water. We are going to have all of our drinking fountain spouts turned off or covered up because would just be an easy way for something to get transmitted. So we are asking that kiddos bring water bottles. Now, it would be ideal, just like with the masks, if a kiddo had 5 water bottles, a clean one for every day, or at least a couple that, that way you wouldn't have to wash them every night, but it would be ideal if the kiddos have a clean water bottle every single day. Arriving to school is going to look quite a bit different than it has in the past. So we are asking that kids do not come prior to 7:55 unless they're eating breakfast, in which they can come at 7:45. So if they're going to eat breakfast, we're asking them to come in the northeast door, kind of on the Wyoming side of the Wyoming and 4th Street West intersection there. And we'll have signage up, and we'll have adults opening that door for them to come on in. If they're not eating breakfast, then they cannot arrive until after 7:55. That's when we have staff available to let them in throughout the rest of the school. So what we will do is we're going to have anybody eating breakfast come through that cafeteria door that I just mentioned. We're going to have all other 3rd graders come through the parking lot door. 1st and 2nd graders come through the southwest door right by the playground there. 4th and 5th graders, with the exception of Mr. Steyer's class, will have them come through, I guess it would be the southeast door there by the lawn. And then kindergartners and Mr. Steyer's class, they're going to come in the front door. We have it organized that way because those are the wings of the building that all of those classes are in. So keeping them separated kind of in those cohorts as often as we can. Trying to isolate parts of the building so parts of the building don't intermix or interact with other parts of the building as often as we can. So again, no kiddos before 7:55 unless they're coming in for breakfast, in which they could come in at 7:45. All right, going down here, soft start. So that's something we've been doing for about a year and a half now. And simply what that is we used to do morning walk, but instead of that, we just had kids start coming to their classroom. It's a good time for them to kind of get to know each other. It's a good time for them to have some kind of relaxing activity before the school day starts. So just know that when they come from 7:55 to 8:10, they are in their classrooms. It's not an academic time or an instructional time, but just kind of a time to get things settled for the day before we need to start the instruction. Supplies, students will have access to their own supplies. We won't be doing the community style supplies this year like you've seen in the past. Technology, every kiddo will have, if they're in kindergarten through 2nd grade, an iPad assigned to them. 3rd, 4th, and 5th, a Chromebook assigned to them. And then when we go, I say when, but I should say if we go into remote learning, then we will be checking out those same devices to those kids. So that'll look different than when we went into school closure last year. So last year we only handed out Chromebooks, and they weren't the same Chromebooks those kids were using in class. This year we will be making sure it's the same device the kiddo uses in class to make things a lot easier for you at home. Hopefully we don't end up in a situation like that, but it's definitely a possibility. All right, I'm not going to read through all this. You guys have access to it, so just kind of trying to hit the main points here. Assignments, we're really going to try to use Seesaw and Google Classroom even in school as a platform for where those assignments are. That just keeps less paper passing and germ passing on those papers. So probably a lot of Seesaw and Google Classroom going on. Bathroom breaks, we'll have scheduled bathroom breaks by class. Again, isolating wings of the building from other wings of the building. So what we'll do is, so for example, all of our kindergartens and Mr. Steyer's class are in one wing. So they'll use the bathroom class by class. And then once they're done, we'll get the custodian in there. They'll sanitize everything. And then we'll have the 1st grade on the other side of the downstairs there. They'll come over and use it. And then the custodian will get there and clean it after they're all done. I mean, it would be great if we could sanitize it in between every class. There's not enough time in the day to do that. And there will be, we fully anticipate there's going to be kids that need to go to the bathroom when it's not necessarily their cohort's turn to use the bathroom. And of course, we're going to let them go. It's just that would just be a little bit higher risk than if they went with their own cohort. So if you can make sure kids are going to the bathroom before they come to school, and know that they might have to go to the bathroom as soon as they get home from school, just know that that's how we're doing that. Recess, I mentioned that earlier, so we'll do that with cohorts, grade level cohorts. We use a 1 to 50 student ratio, so 1 adult for every 50 kids that are out there. We'll be cleaning hands before and after recess. Every kiddo will have a lanyard, and so they'll wear that lanyard at school. That way when they go outside, they can just clip their mask to the lanyard and then tuck the mask and the lanyard inside their shirt while they're playing outside. And then before they come back inside, they'll just take it out and put it back on. So we'll be providing that. Playground structures will be assigned to grade levels, 1 for each day. So we have the 2 playground structures. So for example, our South Playground might be assigned to kindergarten on Mondays. So then kindergartners are the only kiddos that are going to be on that play structure that day. The play structures will get sanitized once daily in the morning. Then those kinders will be on it throughout the day. And that's why we'll just make sure that we're not intermixing groups on those areas, all those touch points. Lunch, our plan is to eat outside as often as possible. If we can't eat outside because of the weather, then we will eat in our classrooms. As we progress through the school year, depending on how things are going, we may get to a point where we can start moving some groups in the cafeteria. We may look at moving kindergarten. We may start them in the cafeteria. They'd be the only group eating in there. Just gives them more space. I think they're probably going to be the hardest ones to keep them physically distanced, just because they're 5 years old and they're excited and they're kids. Library class will take place in the library. Kids will be able to check out books, but know that those books, when they come back, are being held for 72 hours before they can be recirculated. Art and music classes will be taking place in the classroom, as well as health class. PE we're going to do outside as often as possible. Our gym is plenty big enough to have it in the gym as well. So there will be, certain things that they're doing in PE that will work better in the gym. And when we do use the gym for PE, Mr. Verlanik is going to be able to sanitize that in between classes. We talked a little bit about interventions already. Dismissal, also going to look a little bit different. So when our kiddos dismiss, so kindergarten through 3rd grade dismisses at 2:10 every day except for Wednesday. Wednesdays are an hour earlier, which is 1:10. So kindergarten, so first of all the classes, every time they enter or exit the building, they're always going to use that same entrance as they did in the morning. That helps us keep any kindergarten germs. We can keep them in one doorway and one stairwell, and 1st grade germs in one stairway and one door entrance. So every time they go in and out, they're going to use the same exit or entrance. So at dismissal, kindergarten is going to come out the front door, but they're going to walk down the sidewalk and over to our southeast lawn there inside the gate. 1st grade, they're going to come out the south playground door, and then they're going to go onto the big lawn area over there and spread out. Same with 2nd grade. They're going to be kind of over in that area. 3rd grade, they're going to come out that parking lot door, use the sidewalk to re-enter the playground, and they're going to spread out around the basketball court there. 4th and 5th grade, they get out later, so they're coming out at 2:50, except for on Wednesdays when it's an hour earlier. So when 4th grade comes, well, actually they both come out the same doorway there on our southeast corner. So the 4th grade, they'll kind of head, they'll have plenty of room to spread out on that lawn area there. 5th grade, they're going to come out the door and they're going to come around to the front of the building, and they're going to go east of our Actually north of our entrance, there's a kind of a grassy patch that goes about halfway in front of the school there. So they'll all kind of spread out that way. Now, a lot of our 4th and 5th graders walk home, so they won't need to really stick around or congregate. That's another thing that we're going to ask parents to do is for those kiddos who do walk home, please tell them that they need to start walking as soon as they get out of school. We don't want a bunch of kids and parents mingling around in large groups. So another note on that is that dismissal in the past has been a great time to interact with the teachers and, ask them how the kiddo's day was and catch up on anything. We're going to ask you not to do that this year. We're going to ask that you just get your kiddos and you take them home and then send the teacher an email, a seesaw message, or give them a phone call and catch up on those things. I don't want our teachers or our students to be put at any unnecessary risks if they don't need to be. So please exit campus as quickly as possible after school. Quest, for those of you who are in Quest, so we always start Quest pretty closer to October. Primary grades up to 2nd grade, we do Quest in the building. So that is one exception to our cohort rule because we'll have some 1st grade Quest kids and 2nd grade Quest kids coming together. And then our 3rd through 5th grade Quest kiddos, they will still be utilizing the Quest Center over at Burlington. So last year, what would happen when they went to Burlington is the 3rd grade Quest kids would be in a class with 3rd grade Quest kids from other schools around the district. Same with 4th grade, same with 5th grade. But this year, we're doing that differently. So when the Broadwater kids get to Burlington Quest Center, they're all going to be in the same class. And depending on how big our group is and some other schools, they may be in the same class with another school or two, but they won't be mixed in with many other schools like we have done in the past. So please know about that. And then birthday treats, that's a big one, or, holiday treats, or any other time, you guys bring treats. So this year we are asking that treats are store-bought and individually wrapped, just to make sure that we're not transmitting anything back and forth. So, okay, as we get into the school year and we learn maybe some of these things just do not work or are not working for us, or we find better ways, we will change as we go, and I'll keep you updated on any changes as far as that goes. So please know that. So let me get back to the video part here. Any questions? Okay, the other things that I do want to remind people about is the Methodist Church across the street. They've been a great partner for us. They help us meet a lot of our needs. One of the things that they also provide is their parking lot. So before or after school, you can utilize their parking lot to park and then walk your kiddos over, or come over and pick up your kiddo. The only thing we do ask is, well, 2 things. One, don't park right up against their building. Let's reserve that for some of the older folks that are in and out of that church quite often. And then the other thing we want you to do is use our designated crosswalk guard to walk those kids back and forth. Please do not cross the street at the alley, because that's modeling for all of our other kids that are watching that that's a safe way to do things because adults are doing it. And then that one time maybe when you're not there to get your kiddo, or maybe that one time you say, I'm going to wait in the car today, just come on over to the church parking lot. Your kid's going to go right across in the middle there, and we don't want that. It's definitely a safety concern. So please be aware of that. The other thing is, in the past, we've always had our meet and greet where you get to come in, meet the teacher, drop off school supplies. We're not going to be doing that this year. I just wasn't comfortable with it. So what we will do is on the first day of school, we will have extra staff, and we will have lots of, well, any cart we can get our hands on at all of the 4 entrances that will be coming in. And so if your kiddo can't carry all their stuff, then we're just asking you to have it labeled with their first and last name, and if you know their teacher, and then we'll put it on the cart. And then after we get all the kids in, myself and any available staff will go around and we'll deliver that to those classrooms to make sure everybody gets their stuff. The other thing that I'm recommending is we don't need all of the school supplies on that very first day of school. So if you want to fill the backpack on Monday and then fill the backpack again on Tuesday and then again on Wednesday and split it up over the course of that whole first week, that's quite all right as well. As far as lunches go, if you're going to send your kiddo with a lunch, please be cognizant about how the items in that lunch are getting opened for your kiddo. So in the past, our general duty aides for lunchtime spend a lot of time opening Capri Suns, opening fruit cups, those types of things. So thinking about that, we've got 1 or 2 GDAs per grade level, and they're putting their hands on a straw and putting in Capri Sun, and then moving on to another kiddo and doing the same. Now, of course, they're going to be very vigilant about washing and sanitizing their hands in between all that as often as they can. But I would feel uncomfortable if I knew somebody was putting their hands on my daughter's straw and then she's sticking that in her mouth. So maybe have a couple practice lunches before school starts and see if your kiddo can open the things that you plan on packing for them. The more they can do themselves, the more time they're going to have to eat, and plus it's just going to be safer and healthier for everybody. Okay, I know there was a question that came up surrounding our breakfast plan, because when our kiddos come in for breakfast starting at 7:45, from 7:45 to 7:55, remember, we don't have staff to supervise in classrooms yet. So we're sitting those kids in the cafeteria. But what we will be doing is we'll be putting kids every other seat. Unless they're siblings, we can sit siblings together. Every other seat, all facing one direction as they're eating. So I think that gives us about a 36 student capacity. And so if during those 10 minutes we exceed that count of 36, then kiddos that still need a place to seat, we'll walk them up to the gym and kind of have a picnic style breakfast on the floor. Do know that gym's sanitized every night, so it will be clean of any germs and that type of thing. I don't think we'll actually have to get to the point where we're putting kids up in the gym, but I did want to make sure we had a backup plan just in case during that first 10 minutes we do end up with a bunch of kids. So if you're worried about that, then the best solution would be just make sure your kiddo doesn't come until 7:55 or later, and they can still come in, get their breakfast, and then just go up to class and eat it. Okay, I haven't seen any other questions. We're going about on 35 minutes here or so. Well, maybe less than that because of the time that was taken up when I was trying to get connected. So thanks for joining me. It's been a pretty busy week here. We've had 3 full days of training for some staff, so it's been nice to have staff in the building and at least see their eyes and talk to them a little bit. So we're looking forward to having the kids back, and our full staff starts back next Wednesday, and we've got a lot more training scheduled, as well as just getting things ready for the school year. So excited to see everybody in 10 days, and if you have any questions, please reach out. Have a great weekend.